I always have fun doing these videos. I love to spend time with all of you guys. You know, I'm proud of every one of you. And you've just done so well. And helping all these people. You ought to be proud of yourselves for helping people. You know, trying to stay stable in an unstable environment is pretty good. You know, stay honest. Always be honest because hard living lies. You know, it always catches up with you. It's going to catch up with all those doing it now. But I'm so proud of you guys for helping everyone. You're doing so well and helping yourselves. It's a trip, isn't it? I mean, it's a real trip. But once you understand the simplicity of the trip, it can help the trip a little better, but it's still a trip. But you just keep working it, keep working your health back. Like some of you accomplished so much. I just had a lady in here, and she's almost got her eyes all blue from brown, or mostly brown. And it's just amazing, you know, people really getting in and working their health back. I just love to see all that. Just great stuff. So I love you all. We're always here for you. Remember that. And I'm getting your questions as much as I can, but you guys are keeping me hopping. Okay, so let's. This is going to be a question and answer video because I have so much more than them. We have more eyes to catch up with, but might want to slow down on sending them in because it's going to be hard for me to catch up on the eye part. This person wants to be kept anonymous, but I have a granddaughter, 4 years old, that has vitiligo under her eyebrows and would like to know if you have a treatment for that. Please reply. I would appreciate it. Well, first, when you start to see vitiligo and then that skin pigmentation changes, you know, the pituitary gland affects that. The other things you might watch in this 4-year-old is growth factors. Female side of that could have menses problems in the future, female problems. I mean, it's an untold amount of things that the pituitary can actually affect because it's the head of the corporation, so to speak. It's kind of the boss man. Maybe he's the front man for the hypothalamus, but still, that would be something to think about, you know, and work on that child. I would, again, no matter what you're working on, I think it's important that you always start with the kidneys and adrenals, the lymphatic system, and the GI tract, the Fab Four. It's essential in every single young child that we as parents go after their kidneys, their endocrine glands, their GI tract, and help them move their lymph systems. These are the areas that failure is accelerating, that the genetic weaknesses are accelerating. So we're seeing all the endos down, like the vitiligos in 4-year-olds. We see all these problems. Cancer is just everywhere, tumors, all the things, and because of the bone marrow's down, the spleen's down, then the leukemias are up. They treat it like a cancer and kill half these kids. Although they keep claiming their successes are getting better. But when we have these people come in here, and the stories are just not what you hear, you know, and then all the suffering of those after chemo and radiation and the burns and then the more aggressive cancers because it's just more aggressive burn to cells, then you see more aggressive symptoms. Now that your cancer's moving, they need to take that cancer and shove it up their heinies because they put a wrong word on it, so it gives people an understanding that it could be a disease coming in and afflicting them, and oh my God, how do you battle this horrendous thing? I wish it was that easy, but this is a time where I'd probably, since this girl or this individual is only 4 years old, I would probably use the endocrine gland formula. So I would probably use, if it was my child, I would use a kidney formula. I would use an endocrine gland formula. I'd probably do a few drops of the lymph system in a formula, 1 or 2 drops for that child. Definitely 4 years old, no milky, no cheesy, no nothing like that, because that clogs the sinuses with mucus and then suppresses the function of the brain and pituitary and pineal and blah, 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 blah. Sits up irritation of the nervous system, and you have a child that's nervous and all this kind of stuff like that. Getting at 4 years old in today's world, you know immediately they're going to have lymphatic, kidney, and adrenal issues. I mean, that's a given. You could almost make that statement. What could you hurt to work on anybody's kidney and adrenal and lymphatic anyway? But I can tell you, 99.999% of all children are involved in those genetic weaknesses. Then we have the digestive side of children. The pancreas and the livers are genetically weak, so they don't deal with these ridiculous high-protein, high-fat formulas. I know there was a friend of mine who bowed to the fear, and he had cancer in him and had a lot of chemo and radiation. He was in here yesterday, he's just burning all over, and he says, I'm on a 6-day water fast. I said, you should have done that a long time ago, and you wouldn't have had to have the chemo and stuff. And it's just, you saturate your body with an acid, and they will tell you, matter of fact, we had another case come in here, a cancer case, and they told this individual that they needed to eat a high-protein diet because cancer can't live in a high-acid environment. Nothing can. And I'm thinking, my God, was that a chemistry professor or a biochemistry professor that would even tell somebody that? Or did they just learn that in some quick class that they had somewhere? I don't get that. Acid medium, what do you think is in your medium? Cells? You know, cells can't handle an acid hit. What do you think cholesterol is? What do you think that the air in most fruits and veggies, which is the staple of most vertebrates, are base chemistry dominantly? You know, this statement that this medical doctor made, that the more acid the environment, the better for the human body. This guy needs to definitely turn in his medical degree, because the amount of people he's hurting right now is unbelievable. This is like a madman that doesn't know anything, making bizarre statements like that. Putting people on high-protein diets is a sure way to accelerate their death. I mean, it's insane. I told you I had a medical doctor, a friend, who sends me his cancer people because he's afraid to work on them. But he puts all his patients on high-protein diets. And every time their cancer markers soar, he runs them right over here. And it's like, well, why don't you learn not to put them on high-protein diets? He can't get with that. I don't get with that. So I don't know. All I can say, the sure way to hellville is Proteinville. You got to get away from that thinking. Natural health people, practitioners, medical doctors back in the 1800s have written volumes of good works telling you why not the protein material. But 4 years old, absolutely. Definitely want to get them on a fruit and veggie diet, but particularly fruits and berries. 4 years old, they're going to suck them down. Coconut milk, if you have to give them a little something like that. And you're going to build health in this 4-year-old. But want to turn this corner, because that's a warning already that the pituitary is in trouble there. Now, the big impact of a little-known chemical in West Virginia. Let me see. This is Zach. Zach, let me see here. I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but West Virginia was under a state of emergency for, wow, yes, I saw the chemical spill. Yeah, I think it was on that big train that spilled, leaking to all the water systems. Absolutely. Long story, the chemical is 4-methylcytlohexene, or whatever. Wow. Methanol. Oof. Well, a little buzz. Whoa. I was curious to know directly from Dr. Morse if you were allowed to ask him. I would appreciate it. Yeah, what? Not that I value your information or anyone else's, unless it's just reassuring to know it come from him. Okay, if the chemical heavy metal formula would detox this from my body with a liver or gallbladder flush prior to it. You know, if you're subjected to this chemical whatsoever, absolutely. Although, I would put myself on two things, a high grape diet and a high green drink diet. And I would definitely use the dandelion and parsley, if I can find dandelion now. If not, use the spinaches. But definitely want to get into the high parsley, cilantro, maybe some kelp or some seaweed in that, and do some green drinks. Even alfalfa sprouts, let them green up. Maybe get them from the store, throw them in, and close the lid on it, and let them green real up for a couple of days. Wow, that's really power cleaning. You don't need to do a liver gallbladder flush. You can. You can use a liver gallbladder formula, would be okay. But I would also be thinking spleen, cleaning the spleen, because that's where the blood cleans itself, and then the kidneys, of course. You got to that's the doorway, not the stool. The doorway of chemicals is either is either through your skin or through your kidneys. So you got to realize that's the doorway out. So you're going to always work on that, Zach. It won't hurt you to do a liver gallbladder flush, of course. No, you could do a liver gallbladder flush if you wanted to. But the liver gallbladder formula is adequate. Remember, your body's going to want to tip, especially in a raw food diet, to pull out anything, especially acid metals of the body. I do believe that is all. On January 7th, I received my level 1. Oh, good. I have 3 sections left on the exam, protocols and all that good stuff. How you doing with that, Zach? Wish we could get extra credit, please. Okay, yeah. You know, on these tests, we don't fail anybody, but if you don't do well in a section, I'm going to make you take the section over again so you know. I need to know you know what you're talking about, because we, as a group, want to become the most ethical, the most honest, the most godly group in the world. We want to be an example of what God in a walking presence would be. And since you are the walking presence of God, then as you awaken to that, you will find your actions will be in accordance with that. And so I think that it's important that we show integrity. If you don't know anything, don't try to wiggle around it. Just be honest and forthright. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that yet. I haven't had experience with that yet, you know. On the other hand, you don't want to act like you don't know nothing, because a lot of you know more than you think. And sometimes people sell themselves short. So never sell yourself short. Each one of you have endless ability to know and learn and grow. No one is stupid over another, because your soul, you're this magnificent, beautiful being. The mind might not be trained in a certain level of thinking, and maybe you don't want to use the mind that much this lifetime. So what? You know, that's what we have to understand, that academics doesn't define the soul. Doesn't make you an individual that's inferior or superior. It means that's where your focus was in this journey, was in your mind. Some people's focus is the creative arts, and I like that focus better than the mind focus. You know, Paul Twitchell wrote a lot about difficult for the intellectual mind to understand God, and if you start to look at that, you'll see most spiritual people would rather sit at the ocean than to read a good book on metaphysics. So it's just that sort of thing, you know. You have to understand the mind where the mind goes, everybody where everybody goes. But you guys are the key to the future. I mean, I'll be gone one of these days soon, and you guys are the ones. So you really learn as much as you can, help others, work with understanding, find a center of balance to where you don't go outside there. And I would think before I made statements that might not be true that you heard somewhere else. It's kind of like we're going through this someone made this statement, we know who did, about alcohol destroys the herbs. That's stupid. I don't know who ever said something like that. I mean, you know, but this person wasn't really smart in that area, let's put it that way. So, and all these statements that are being made out there, we stand strong because we have the proof. We have the evidence. We have true chemistry, true physics behind us. We have everything behind us. Only the negative we don't have behind us. although it hangs around a lot, but that sort of thing. So be that God person that you are, and be the healer that you guys are, because each and every one of you would make a good healer if that's your focus. And a healer is a person that that gives love to others without getting himself involved or herself, and one who extends the hand of love and help. And you all are that way. Everyone that comes to this site that I read here, I can feel your hearts. There's once in a while we get a little twist there, but you know what? All in all, I think our group is so incredible, and will and are and is the power of the health consciousness coming. And you guys are helping to prove that worldwide, so I just think you all should be happy about that. Appreciate that. I love you all, and you're doing good. Let me see. Hi there. I'm experiencing severe detox symptoms. Imagine in ink. All right. So this lady is experiencing severe detox symptoms. I started with a face rash, then my eyes started to swell. It's been so scary, and I felt that there's been no help. I think I'm on the mend after 4 weeks. All right. So here's the thing, sweetheart, and anyone. If you feel like you've had a severe detox symptom, you call this clinic. And if you're not, and if someone at this clinic isn't helping, ask for someone else, because we do have new people in here, or newer people that doesn't know all of it. Maybe you got one of them, or maybe you never called here. But you guys, when you have a serious reaction or something, you call here. I'm going to show you this lady's face here. Now, you have a lot of reactions to moving lymph, and this can be one of them. And you want to be careful that it's not an anaphylactic shock, meaning that the throat's getting scratchy and it feels like you're swelling up there and hard to breathe. Once in a blue moon, there's an herb or something in there that is not right for you. But that is so rare. We just don't see that. We've seen this sort of thing, though, before, where this person's lymph system is so backed up. And notice in the face. So this person has so many lymphatic problems here. And this is all lymph. This is just what this looks like. But I would advise this individual to slow down. She's got detox nightmare on here, and I don't blame her. But that can happen. Matter of fact, you can break out head to toe. So sometimes it's better to go a little slower, especially with some people that are this vulnerable to having an explosion. When you have an explosion like this and it's not an anaphylactic shock, that means your lymph system is in a holy crap mess. You're just ready to explode lymphatically. That's just what you did, honey. And it's just this typical stuff. So, and you see this a lot. I've seen it head to toe. Had some lady that worked for the fire department down here. She broke out with the baddest itching rash. So we never know, though, in detox, those people that are at that level, particularly on the Facebook and YouTube and when we're doing it this way. But this shows you, sweetheart, how bad your lymph system is. And, of course, the kidneys here, you really got to open yourself up and get your lymph moving. I would slow way down. And this is another a reason why we muscle test. When we see this reaction, then we advise the people to muscle test your herbal formulas to see if any of them maybe your body didn't like. Generally, as a rule, though, this can be a detox symptom. It literally explodes. That's why if your client isn't battling life and death situations, and they're not in an extreme amount of pain, then you might want to go slower. In other words, diet-wise, you can start with getting rid of all the meats and dairies, of course, and just picking up some cooked food, and maybe doing fruits in the morning and a salad for lunch and a salad for dinner. And then and maybe some green drinks in between or whatever, and maybe some steamed vegetables at night or a baked sweet potato, and kind of go a little slower. And then as you get a little more, use say one formula for herbs for the lymphatics, one or two for the kidneys, because this is the case. When you see cases like this, that means she's really not filtering, and her skin is an issue. This also can create, in time, a person with this many lymphatic or this much lymphatic issues can have extreme allergy problems. You know, they can be allergic to everything. And sometimes you get someone that has a lot of allergy problems, go slower with them because they're just so backed up, so acidic, so backed up in proteins and mucus and stuff that they literally explode when they go on this. So this is something, sweetheart, who are you here? Oh, this is Stella. Hey, Stella, sorry, sweetheart, we don't know when these things are going to happen, so back up and go slower. But let me tell you, don't freak out and don't weird out, because what this shows you that your body is really lymphatically in need. And send me your eyes and make a note on there, but what I can see here in your normal picture, your eyes look hazel. If that's the case, I mean, you look a little blue over here, a little hazel over here, so it's hard for me to tell, but this is a lymphatic problem. If it's hazel, that'd make total sense to me. Look like you have brown around the pupil in your normal eye. Hard to see here, but it's enough to say I feel sorry for you, honey. This is just, this is bad. It is 4 weeks down. You should have called me a lot quicker than that. Started with a face rash, then my eyes started to swell. I feel like there's been no, let me see, I hope you can help. I've been 5 months, 70% raw vegan. This is only 70% raw vegan? Holy crap. But with cravings for salty crackers, okay, that's your adrenal glands, and a little fungus, and eating jacket potatoes. Ugh. Other than that, nothing processed. Green juice and veggie salad, etc. No meat. Milk, meat, cheese, eggs, fish, etc. No, but this is what's already in you, though. It's not what you're doing right now, honey. But if you're only 70% raw vegan, I'd kick that one up. And you might want to do the diet and no herbs. And if this is just from the diet, you've got some serious lymphatic things going on here. And so you want to go slow, but you want to go. You want to get a kidney formula, maybe one lymphatic formula, an adrenal formula, and start working with the doorway. Work with your kidneys and get those filtering. It'll take a load off the skin. Might want to check your basal temperature, Stella. See your thyroid. See if your skin is, if you can have a fever or something. But I've seen this many times. Just part of the negative side of detox sometimes when the body's trying to clean itself. Again, separate this from an anaphylactic shock. If your throat gets scratchy and feels like you're closing and a little hard to breathe, then it's probably one of the formulas. More than likely, there's an herb that your body, but even in those cases, I want you to realize it's your lymph system that's the problem, and you got to fix it. And you don't want to ignore that because you had this experience. You don't want to ignore detox. You want to back up and go slower. Matter of fact, once you call in and have one of us help you here, and slow you up a little bit. All was going well. Then I was knocked off my feet by the chills. Felt like I was dying. Woke up with an inflamed face and the rash started. Oh, wow, huh? Chills, huh? That sounds like thyroid. So you want to take a look at that. You might have had a thyroid storm or a thyroid dump, that sort of thing, and then went into this sort of thing. But this just shows the lymph system. You might want to check your thyroid, honey, and see again your basal temperatures and stuff. That would make total sense that you had a little thyroid dump. If you check your basal temperatures every day, one time a week, you're going to see a dump. It's going to hit in the 94s or 95s. And it's just a natural process of the waxing and waning of chemistry and all that implies. I see this with everyone. And it could be you had that time where you had a big thyroid dump, went into the chills, and then went into a body rash. Nervous system just, boom. And that is possible. But get yourself back on your feet. And if you want, give me your phone number. I'll call you and talk to you about it. See if we can't get you through this easier than this. If you haven't been on herbs, then you need to be on some herbs. And if you're on herbs, you might want to go all raw without the herbs. See what I'm saying? From Anonymous. I watch Dr. Morse's videos all the time, and I am finally going to ask a question that has been bothering me since I first heard him say this. He has mentioned more than once about a woman. If a woman has small breasts, it could be a gland problem, etc. But, number one, what defines normal-sized breasts? Good question. I can't say as a male I know that, but as a rule, when you're fairly flat, that wouldn't be normal. And I don't know how flat would be, but I would say 32, or lower, but that depends on the size of the person. I don't know what to say about that. It's enough to say that we generally recognize undeveloped breasts, and generally you see that. And I live with a cardiac nurse, and we were noticing how this is true in so many young girls today where they're undeveloped. And again, we're going back to the adrenal glands. We could also maybe visit Mr. Pituitary. But I made that statement about stilbestrol because they were using it medically to treat prostate cancer at one time. The problem with that, they were giving men gynecomastia, which was basically growing breasts like women. As a matter of fact, there's a bad drug on the market for doing that now, and you see that on bad drugs, and you call in if you're a male and got gynecomastia, that you call in. But and it helped me to understand. I gave my grandfather that because he had prostate cancer, and I asked him, what are you taking? And he said, well, this is stilbestrol. So it's a steroid, and and it's obviously a growth steroid to the breast at least. So I don't know, something to think about in that way. Now, she brings another thing. If a female can have a problem with her sex characteristics being too small, can men have a penis or testicles that are too small? I'm sure there's a lot of them would be going, yeah, and how to fix the glands causing that problem. Well, how interesting, on TV, there was an herbal formula they were selling to enhance male penis sizes up to 2 inches and bigger around and things like that. I don't see it advertised anymore, so I don't know what happened to it. But for when we came out with our female reproductive formula, this goes way back. That's when I had a clinic in Portugal. We were having a lot of women talking about either breast size increasing or firming the breasts up. So I don't know, I've always felt that when you bring all glands to a state of wellness, any deformity or any undersized would catch up to where it should be if there's anything that there should be. Hard to say. The blueprints and all of that, of humans and all that, I'm going to say that we probably expect a certain height and a certain breast size and a certain norm or a range within a norm we would look at. For an example, we probably would consider 5'7" to 6 foot within normal range, but anything shorter or taller would be more pituitary involvement. And we could probably say that with breast shape and size, and males' penis is the same thing, probably. I don't know. We've seen a lot of women's breasts firm and get larger with the female reproductive formula, and we don't. I don't know whether it's just bringing the adrenals in a state of wellness and the pituitary, because part of the female reproductive is pituitary. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. And opposite, if you're too large, will you decrease? Well, every woman knows that when she loses weight, her breast gets smaller. So I don't know. This is all something to watch and see how life goes on with that. I know they were selling herbal formulas to increase women's breast size too on the TV as well. They had increase women's breast size and increase male's male size. Herbal formulas. I think it's just getting one healthy and not worrying about any of that. I know there's a lot of people that worry about it, women about their breasts and men about their breasts too. I find that ridiculous. Whatever is whatever, be beautiful as you are. But getting yourself healthy, you just have to see if your body feels like enlargement would be the case or not. I don't know, but like the question. Dear Dr. Morse, sorry if I have English is bad. Well, my English is bad too. And I'm an old farm boy, and when it came to spelling and pronunciation, I wasn't always around. You know, males typically back in my age group did not like English and spelling classes. We were definitely math and science. You know, I should have taken typing. I didn't even go into typing. They had Spanish or French, and I go, nah, I should have did that. But it wasn't, you know, I'm a male. At that time, you know, I was a horse and motorcycle guy and didn't like nouns, pronouns, adverbs, verbs, that sort of thing. What the hell are those? Okay. I am doing some research on stem cells, as they seems to be the major factor in regeneration. I think you are not supporting the fact to inject exo products, so exo stem cells in the body, but I was wondering what you about stimulating the marrow to produce stem cells with autohemotherapy, our own blood, for example, beetroot juice, or some maybe some plants. Oh, absolutely. I've got a bone marrow formula now, and I've been using a Chinese bone marrow formula for a number of years now. Because, again, but keep in mind, the health of cells is directly related to the health of the fluid. And the health of a fluid is related to the chemistry and its pH. And so you see how all that works. So looking at regeneration of tissue is getting the suppressive and the corrosive effect upon the cell by acids away from the cell. Also, you know, we don't give a lot. Sometimes when we think physically, but there's an awareness in a plant. That plant knows why it's here. I mean, let's go back to that when I was talking about this. It was on the news probably a year ago. And this is some female doctorate at a university. And they were talking about they were going to remove bomb-sniffing dogs out of airports and simply put these plants that this PhDer had been working with. And she had said that my plants, where dogs are only 70 to 80% accurate in detecting chemistry like that, my plants are 100%. She says, my plants will turn colors when they detect different chemicals. Now, think about what kind of awareness does it take to do that? And anybody that works with plants knows and can communicate with their plants knows that there's an awareness. Secret Life of Plants, Christopher Bird and Tom Tompkins, great book, old, back 70s, really brought that home, that plants not only know you, they can tell whether you're going to hurt them or not hurt them. I mean, it's amazing to understand that all life is alive and awake and intelligence. And it should, you know, if man can wake up to that, maybe to change the nature of the way we eat and think and everything else. So, absolutely. So we have to understand that the consciousness of the plant and the herb is as vital as the chemistry of it. That the chemistry of it and the electromagnetic frequency of it is part of its states of consciousness. And therefore, all of that hitting you has that effect of why God created that plant. We've been able to determine, you know, maybe 3,000-4,000 plants and what they're good for, and we probably only know a fraction of that. This is where real science should be. Pharmaceutical companies should playing with the plant world in a non-extraction method in terms of isolating of chemistry and get more into the action of plants and synergistic action of budding up the plants in formulae. So, you know, it's just where we need to go. You know, we can't continue in the killing fields. All I know is that stem cell allopathically isn't good. I mean, I told you I had a stem cell researcher, and she said here, as a matter of fact, we might have seen her on the YouTubes, but she got out of the field because it was a no-brainer. And those, now I can't say everyone, because all I know is those that come in to see me that's had stem cell hasn't had one good thing to say about it. It could be there's other people that have had good stuff with it, but the people that come in here to see me that have had the stem cell does not have anything good to say about it. And I think that it's more imperative to understand that you work with what you have and you rebuild, energize, and awaken what you already have. And that's just what I think you're alluding here to. I like the beet juice, yeah. But to tell you the truth, cells get their consciousness from God, not from the beet juice or anything else. What one needs to do is remove the obstructions and the pH that suppresses the proliferation of cells and the healthiness of cells. You know, get rid of the corrosiveness of and the acidity of acids and stuff and what all that implies. You know, and that's what you're all doing. So the thing with bone marrow is you want to clean deep in your body. You know, this is a deep issue. You know, you're talking about bone and bone marrow. Now you're talking about a much more dense jungle that you have to work with. That's why when you have a liver cancer case and a bone cancer case, the liver cancer case is your easy case. Your bone cancer case is the most difficult because it's just deeper. You know, nothing's solid in the world and all cells eat and poop. Just remember that. Living things have to be nourished and cleaned. All living things, whether it's in bone and it has bone matrix around it or not. You have pathways. And pathways, whether they're lymph vessels or blood vessels, these pathways are essential to keep open and moving. Well, acids coagulate, obstruct, dehydrate, all these things to the body, which dries up, solidifies, and blocks the flow of fluids and and cell elimination. What do you think about Quietin? I don't know what this is. Seawater injection, which could cure scoliosis, spinal issues, cancel acidosis located in a precise area. Now, if you were in pain and you wanted to bring alkaline chemistry into a related area, you might be able to do something like that. When you say that seawater cures scoliosis, I don't buy that. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. That spinal issues and stuff. It's easy to understand why you have scoliosis. It's easy to understand why you have spinal issues. But if you're going to put a little alkaline salt water in there, thinking you're going to regenerate the spine when you're not utilizing calcium and when you're so acidic lymphatically, I think you got another thing coming. Because I think that these cases are a lot more serious than a little cure from a little salt water will help. Even an energized salt water there. I mean, but the point you bring up about injecting an alkaline solution into an acid solution is what we do when we take Tums or eat an apple when we have acid reflux or we have an acid stomach. Same type of thing. I think you have to be cautious in bringing in a fluid, even a base chemistry fluid, in an already dehydrated, well, in a dehydrated area you have some source of hydration, but it scares me, particularly water-soluble fluid, not so much, but a lipid like, and I use castor oils and I use these lipid packs, but the concern would be bringing more fluid in a stagnated fluid area. You know, some of these things concerns me, you know. But I think when you look at, and you say this seawater or this herb even, or this vitamin mineral will cure something like scoliosis, which you have to understand why you get scoliosis, is statements I think that hurt our field instead of help our field. Because anybody that knows the level that you have to be to get you scoliosis knows that would, you know, I've never had a case of scoliosis that you couldn't straighten, but not by injecting any alkaline solution in near the vertebrae that are twisted. I am doing some research too on the magnetic and electrical currents in the body, absolutely. So with fruits, electrolytes, electrons, and ions in an isotonic seawater, biodynamicalized water, I know some healers can do things with their hands. Well, no, but you know, you're talking about the energizing of life, and life already is energized, but I guess you could kick that up another notch. You know, one has to be careful about changing the electrical structure by changing the chemical structure, or vice versa. You know, you have to be careful about changing chemical structures when one I look at nature as setting these chemical relationships and ratios as someone that knows what they're doing. When I'm looking at like the supreme being or the one who the creator or God, whatever you want to call that essence, but when you get down to man's the little mind here, scary. But with that said, I like nature to energize. That's why I like energized mountain water, things like that. I like nature to energize. That gives it a power and a consciousness that one can't artificially. Do you know some ways to protect ourselves from the radiations from our electrical currents in the sockets of our Orsus cell phones, Wi-Fi, and other wireless technologies? There's all these little chips people talk about. But I can tell you, and you bring up a good point, my friend, is that you want to stay as alkaline as possible. Because the same thing, in an acidic medium, holding radiation is a factor. And I've seen this, and we've demonstrated this through the years, that radiation that is being held in an acidic medium is discharged in a base medium. And look at the magnetic effects that acids create. Acids create an anionic, coagulated, agglomerated medium, where alkalis basically create a cationic medium, a medium of disbursement and hydration. But what that means is also, from that point of view, is that you're releasing in a base medium, in an alkaline medium, where you're holding in an acid medium. So by changing the nature of your ingestion and the nature interstitially of the lymph fluids, pH-wise, by increasing filtration through the kidneys and skin, you're going to see better metabolism, better absorption, all the other factors that's disturbed in an acidic medium as well. Because you have to consider the more acidic a medium gets, the less metabolism and even respiration is going to take place at the cellular level. The closing off or the restriction of the breathing of a cell. And then, when this becomes intracellular acidosis, then obvious destruction of the organs of the cell, whether it's the mitochondria or DNA or whatever, chromosome, that's going to be assured. That's what acids do. So I think, with balance in your walk is good. This is Alex, by the way, guys. I think so many people out there are so intoxicated and degenerated and suffering that they may eventually need some kind of extra boost. And I agree with that. I think the real boost, though, if you look at this, Alex, people can't even handle the vibrations of fruits. Like this lady that her face, where she had a real shock to this, that person might have to, there's all kinds of cases. I have to look at her eyes and look at everything else. But when you explode on a detox, you might have to slow up and go slower, or get through the explosion and keep on trucking down the field. You got two choices. You can pull back, go slower, or speed it up and go faster if it was not an anaphylactic shock. Muscle test all your formulas, and check yourself with that way. Much love to you, Alex. Excellent questions. I love your thinking here. Definitely. I think that, the God has it right. I mean, it's energetic, it's chemistry and everything else. We really don't have to go much beyond that. The concern is trying to find things that are curable in and of themselves. And all things are. When you do a whole body workup, your diets change, you're ingesting herbs or foods. Remember, herbs are considered foods in America, and herbs are more considered vegetables than anything else. The most toxic are going to be the roots, of course, but most roots aren't toxic. Poke root, bloodroot, these are strong herbs. There's no question about it. So a little dab will do ya, so to speak. As the guy that did the poke root experiment the other day, remember? And he threw up so much, took too much poke root. That's why I say, get yourself, there's plenty of bimail degrees with herbs. And, the better schools of that is Dominion Herbal College. Emerson was a real tooth puller, a good one to graduate from. I don't think they're in business anymore, but they had a good curriculum, and they made it tough to pass the test. And I like that. When you're doing distance learning, whether it's Indiana University or it's some herbal school, you miss out on some things. There's no question doing that. But this is going to be the future, because people can't afford to go to college and schools. They got to make a living, but they can make a living and take these courseworks. And I would do that with some herbs and get used to herbs and enjoy herbs, because they're our saviors. They're the beauties of the future. They're so great. Some ones we just use a little bit, and other ones have at it. But I will tell you, I've used gallons and gallons of poke, blood, all the real strong herbs that the FDA questions and stuff like that, comfreys, licorices. I've used those for years and years, and tons of them on babies and older people, every level you can imagine, on animals. We just don't have many problems at all. The ones that we don't like, of course, is like this poor Stella, who had this is a detox symptom. And some of them can be not pleasant and not fun. I hope I try to make it to where you won't get discouraged when you have these and you continue to go, because the fact that when you have a gnarly one like this, that shows you how much you need it. Not how much you need to back away, but how much you need it. And that's the scary part of Stella's experience, is that what's underneath there to create this type of skin rash had to be subcutaneous. Well, that's going to take you to her thyroid right off. The other side of that, of course, is going to be kidneys and adrenals. And looking at her, you can see that she has kidney and adrenal problems big time. So you've got to get those things working and get this nice rhythmatic movement of lymph. So good questions, you guys. I love your questions. You're doing great with questions, but I've only scratched the surface. I could literally do this 8 hours a day, because we could discuss all these, and maybe I will. Here's Paul, a 19-year-old from France. Thanks for all your videos. You got it, Paul. Thanks for watching them. They are very useful. Oh, thanks. My English has some limits. Who cares? I've been dealing with acne for almost 5 years now. Look, this is a 19-year-old, and how many of you out there are dealing with acne, psoriasis, some type of skin problem? Look at Stella here. I mean, this was underneath Stella. This was hiding under there, and this is the problem. There's so much backed up lymph, whether it's subcutaneous under the skin or interstitially, everywhere. I mean, this is what we're fighting here. Went through very strong medications like Accutane. Well, you can probably get some money from that one. And I still have acne and redness only on my face. Well, the thing is with Accutane and everything else, and this is why they're bad drugs, is they suppress. Their actions are suppressive instead of expectorants. We don't like expectorants because of what Stella went through. But at the same time, if you can spend a short period of time, maybe your acne will get a little worse, but then it'll start fading away, because you've got to open up your kidney channel, man. You got to open up that kidney and adrenal glands. There's your buffering steroids, your neurotransmitters. There's your kidney function, your elimination, your filtration of the lymph, acids coming out. It begins to dump the lymph nodes and subcutaneous tissues in the skin. So you want to get yourself sweating, even though it's redness on the skin. Don't be afraid of that. Hot and cold applications on the face, scrub the skin. But you must systemically move lymph through your kidneys, because your skin's making up the difference. And at 19 years old in today's world, remember, skin, adrenals and kidneys always. And clean up the bowels and everything else. If I understand well, in some of your videos about acne, you say that the problem comes from a bad diet, the lymph system. And this is all, whether it's all the mucus from dairy products and all the acids from the proteins, it all is building up in you. In other words, what you were eating wasn't being metabolized and eliminated, even the byproducts. But your byproducts were being held and absorbed into the body. And the more acidic, the more dehydrated, the slower the fluids. When the kidneys don't filter anymore well, then this even backs up more. And there's probably other factors to this that we don't know that you guys are going to discover, but you're right on. You're right, Paul. Kidneys, you're right on. Does that mean that if I change my diet for a raw, good fruits diet, move the lymph and work on the kidneys, it will fix my problem? That's an absolute. That's an absolute, Paul. I've never seen anyone who couldn't do that. Seen some people struggle, but never seen anyone who couldn't get rid of any skin problem whatsoever. That's an elimination problem. That's a kidney problem. And check your thyroid, because you're not getting enough fevers to sweat, or if you are giving fevers and you are sweating, it shows how backed up you are, and that's scary. Good, thanks, Paul. This is from Craig. I'm a huge fan. Oh, thanks, man. And has information, has really helped me on the journey to cure my... Here's another skin condition. Here's eczema. And here's Craig from England. See, it's all over the place. It's just because our lymph systems are so bad all over the world. But look at the diets. Look at the diets we've been on. You know, our parents, our grandparents, you know, the old farmers and all these people. You know, all the milks and the meats and all the crap. These are not healthy foods. And today's world and the level of problems, man has to get out of even thinking these are healthy foods. If you got to eat them for desire, okay. But don't sit there and think you're eating them for the health of it. It's one thing to know the truth and to go, you know, with that. It's another thing to not know the truth. As long as we educate people and know the truth, then we feel pretty secure as God people we've done our thing. It's up to the individual to make that choice. And some people don't make good choices. Some souls don't make good choices. Well, so you swing around, they'll be back. You can always have a choice down the road. I am writing today as I have a very close friend who has been diagnosed with stage 3 Hep C, hepatitis C, which according to her doctor can be treated quite easily. Right, with interferon, right? Yeah, anybody have interferon treatments out there? You might want to tell everybody how fun that is. You know, they don't cure Hep C as they don't cure anything. And this is a viral load. Look at your liver enzymes. See how the liver enzymes is with your friend. The more the elevated liver enzymes, the worse it is. You can have high viral loads and not have elevated liver enzymes. Same thing with HIV and AIDS. We've talked about this before. These viral loads simply can be detoxed out of the body. You really want to judge this issue by liver enzymes. That'll show you how much the liver's breaking down or whether the virals are hanging around just whistling Dixie. Oh, it's a female. She has not started her treatment yet. Boy, I would rethink that because there is nothing fun about interferon treatments. And they just don't get it. They don't know how to detox the body. But Hep C is not difficult to get rid of. These are viral loads. They're not difficult. And if you have elevated liver enzymes, fix it. And that reminds me, remember the colon and the GI tract always related to hepatic, liver, or pancreatic problems. If you're going after the pancreas, you're going after the liver, you must always go after the GI tract with it. That'll pull these two organs clean. But I just want to know a bit more about it and if she could be treated with diet herb. Not treated, she can totally eliminate this problem that she's dealing with. Not difficult of a problem to deal with. But the way they get you, not fun. I would really appreciate your advice on this and look forward to your video response. Thanks, Greg. This is not going to be a long video. I'm going to have him try to get this up, but we were trying to get up the eyes we did yesterday for you, and it's 50 hours projected time to get that one video up from our clinic here. 50 hours. So Chris has to take it home. It takes him 2 hours at home. We, for some reason, we don't have high-speed anything here. So it's really messing with us to get these up for you. So see if I have him get this up for you before she gets too involved in interferon treatments, because these aren't fun. And they don't cure. They make you sick. These are not fun. Hi, my name is Lennart. L-E-N-N-A-R-T, Lennart. Faderberg from Sweden. I love Sweden. I just wish they hadn't done the Codex thing. We could get in there and help you guys better. I would like to hear what you have to say about this documentation. If what the immune system did push out from my body through the skin is not at fungus, then what is it with a mycelium visible to the bare eye? Oh, you could get fungus out the skin. Why would you not think that? You can get anything out the skin. You can get even those little blue, what do we call those? Yeah, I mean, you can get anything out the skin. Fungus, you can push fungus out the skin, out the urine. You can smell it even. I mean, there's ammonia, there's all, I mean, it's all detox. It's all detox. Skin, kidneys, nose, eyes, mouth, vaginal, rectal, any hole will do. It all comes out, man. All comes out, my friend. So detox, keep detoxing yourself. I do like antifungals, though, to help, because the fungus in people are unbelievable. The key to that, of course, is to stay away from the starches, digest your simple sugars properly, get your adrenals in shape, in other words, and don't promote more fermentation in the human body, and then get rid of what you got. This is Trevor. Hey, Dr. Morris, can you please explain how the adrenal glandulars work? I found some literature online saying that they cause the adrenal glands to atrophy due to not being stimulated. What? Holy crap. I find the internet is an incredible source of information, right and wrong. So just be aware, guys. Don't fall into everything you read. I don't care what the credentials are behind the people. Be common sense and think about that. Think about everything with common sense and practicality, and it'll deal that. Glandulars, I don't know who originated them. I was thinking it was Lee, Dr. Lee, Royal Lee, but he started Standard Process Labs, and this was way back in the late 60s, I believe, because by the time I came around as a naturopath, Standard Process was already in business. And I know my friend, he was a chiropractor in Michigan, had the largest chiropractic clinic in the country, actually got Standard Process where they are. So at that time, they were selling us on the glandulars as being organic. They raise their own cattle in the farms and stuff, and now they won't guarantee that it's not commercial, but we don't use them. But I liken them, excuse me, like energy, affecting like energy. And all I can think is, all these different laws of physics, of homeostasis and magnetics and all this come into play here. But I can tell you, I've used glandulars since the early 70s. And I'm not like a chiropractor will throw you on a glandular form with a bunch of other chemistry and you're on that. I like a power hit. I like to increase the performance of. I think if you're looking at this, and as Craig was saying, this is an energetic hit, a vibrational hit to the cells of like-minded cells. And even though they're desiccated, still you have that uniqueness to that. That would no more atrophy a gland than grape juice would. So if you looked at the most negative side of a glandular, it would be it's a protein. But it's not a hormone or a steroid product. It is a product of raw tissue. And that just enhances, everybody's going on about stem cell and all this other stuff. I would say this is the closest to that in that it takes the cell and enhances its function. And boy, can you see that when you're in clinical practice and you use them. I try to get people off glandulars sooner than later because I'm really not a meat thinker. But in a clinical practice, I'm for the health and wellness of humans first, animals second, but and plants, I'm in the wellness of all things. But also, karmatically, we bring these animals here to use their bodies. And you have to get out of the body and see where life really is to appreciate that. Sometimes when you're too locked into the physical world, things seem a little more real than they really are. You mentioned that one of your patients, a famous psychiatrist, was popping the adrenal. Like candy. Not only the adrenal ones, thyroids, pituitaries. And I'm going, what? This is a guy in Miami. And you were worried that he may get a heart attack. How can the adrenal glandulars cause a heart attack? I wasn't worried about a heart attack. I don't know what I can say I was worried about when I really stop and think about it. But I've had people, I think an example, simple example. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Yeah. Oh, yeah. A simple example of that would be too much of the thyroid gland. It'll make the heart just take off racing. And that can create problems there. Too much adrenals can make you the same thing you use it for, anxieties and too much nervousness and stuff like that. Too strong, too much energy, too much impaction on the cells. So from that viewpoint is what worried me, because as a rule, one person can take only one glandular of the thyroid, say 150s, move them up to the 400s, and they wiggle right on out. I had a nurse take herself to the hospital. She knew it was the thyroid and racing from the thyroid, but she took her to the hospital anyway to have herself checked, and it was just the glandulars doing it. And so you just have to come back on them. But still, these have a power to them. It's hard to describe, and the New Zealand ones are real strong. But we do that because of the chronicness. The chronicness, thank you, Mr. Cow, I love you. The chronicness of our state and our condition. So we're bringing in bodies to help us to get our things done. Consciousness can never be destroyed, by the way, guys. You can't destroy the consciousness of a cow or a chicken or a person. You can't destroy that. As many as people would like to, you can't destroy God. So I don't know. Trevor, good questions to you. And I can't tell you I know the answer to that. I just don't have any more time. I've got to run. But here's one on the adrenal glands. You have a couple of different adrenal products. You mentioned restoring your adrenals a couple of times on a vid. I had adrenal exhaustion, which took me 2 years to recover. See what I mean? Which product should I get to do my adrenals? I would probably start with the Adrenal 400s. Who is this here? This is M-A-R-E, Mare. I would probably do the Adrenal 400s 1-3 times a day if it was me. But then I would definitely go to the Gland Tonic as a long-term strengthener of all the glands, or the endocrine gland formula, or the adrenal glandular formula. Adrenal herbal formula, the endocrine gland herbal formula, or the Gland Tonic herbal formula. Those are strengtheners, but they're slower. When you're in a stat need, an emergency need, you want something that's fast and heavy hitting. The glandulars work real well for that. But in long-term strength and building, I really like the herbs. These guys come in and they make well and they make healthy. So have fun on these. I apologize. I'm in a running situation, but I got to run to get back to my next client. Love you guys. Wanted to get this out to you. Have fun. Keep going. Stella, honey, if you have to, call us here. Call Jen B, my personal assistant. Tell her how you're doing. Hope you're doing okay. Slow up. Don't stop. It shows you how much you need to do. Muscle test your formulas. And love to all of you guys. Thank you so much. And have a real fun day. Make it your day. Okay?